How you doing? If you watch the minor pentatonic introduction video, this is going to be a video that's going to kind of give you a few little licks that you can take and apply to that. And I like to start with pretty much the person who laid the blueprint for all rock and roll lead guitar, Chuck Berry. I'm going to show you what I like to call the Chuck Berry lick. It's probably important to point out, though, that Chuck Berry would have called it the T-Bone Walker lick, and who knows what T-Bone Walker would have called it. It's basically a stock lick that you hear all over the place, from Chuck Berry, obviously, to Jimi Hendrix and Randy Rhoads and beyond. And you can go down into the description part of the video, and I've got a little handout you can print off that basically has the tablature for what I'm going to show you. So I am in the 5th position, just like I was in the last introduction video. This is my 5th fret right here, 2nd dot if you have a standard electric guitar. And remember, the minor pentatonic scale was the one that went like, it was 5, 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. Coming down, descending, A, C, D, E, G, A, C, D, E, G, A. Well, this lick only takes place on the top 3 strings, and I'm going to put my 3rd finger here on the G string at the 7th fret, and my 2nd finger on the 6th fret. My 2nd finger is only there to help my 3rd finger out, because I'm going to bend this note. I could do it with just my 3rd finger, but it's a little harder to do that, so I got to use these 2 fingers in tandem. Sometimes you might even use all 3, 1, 2, and 3, just to make it a little bit easier. And this motion, there's really nothing else that you ever do in life that's really similar to it. It's kind of like if you had something sticky on your thumb, and you were going to try to scrape it off with these 2 fingers. So you're pushing down as you're pushing across. It's kind of weird. It takes a little bit of time just to get used to it. So if you're not used to bending, I would just spend some time on just bending, because the way this lick goes is you bend this note and then let it go. You don't actually hear the release. You lift up so that you don't hear this. You can even use your right hand. I'm using my right hand as well to kind of mute that string so that you don't hear the release. You don't hear. See, that's the release you just heard. The bend, release. I just want to hear the bend. Then you take your 1st finger, and I'm on the top 2 strings at the 5th fret. I've got my 1st finger kind of pinched over those strings, and I'm just going to play both of them. So the whole thing put together sounds like this. I mean, you're already probably going, oh yeah, that lick, I know that one. I've heard that a billion times. That's your Johnny B. Good, Well, that's one particular version of it that I like to call the double stopped version, because this right here, that's a double stop. Anytime you play 2 notes at the same time, that's what we call a double stop. There's also what I like to call the arpeggiated version, where you play the strings one at a time. See, so I played the B string first, and then the high E string. After, of course, I played the bent G string. So it's, as opposed to. So you got the double stop version, the arpeggiated version, and then what I like to call the inverted version, or the backwards version, where you play the top 2 strings first and then the bent G string. And of course, rhythmically, I didn't bother to write any rhythmic notation down here. The first 2 are basically straight 8th notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. If you're doing 4/4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. Or if you're doing the double stop version, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and, like that. But this one's kind of it's a little bit more complicated, because you got a lot of tied 8th notes in there. But you'll recognize, you'll kind of get the feel for it. It's more important to get the feel for it than it is to really know exactly how it would be rhythmically notated. So, okay, now that I've showed you that, here's a little application of it. the idea there briefly. Now, if you want to, remember that I also showed you that the box 1 in the key of A actually happens way up high in the, let me see how can I do this. Yeah, I can do this. Way up in the 17th position. See, so I'm way up here in the mini 5th fret. I can do that same lick right here. Notice that I'm only using my second finger to bend now because the frets are so close together and the tension on the string is so much less up here that I don't need both fingers to bend that string anymore. I can do it okay with just my second finger. Alright, what if I'm not going to be in the key of A? What if I'm in, say, the key of E? Well, if you're in the key of E, well, that's, you got to remember that if we're in the key of A, see, there's my A right there, 5th fret. Now, I'd recommend you guys getting something off the internet to show you where all the notes on the guitar are located. There's all sorts of charts and diagrams that will show you where all the notes are located, but we're looking for an E on the 6th string or the 1st string, because this is an A and this is an A. They're both E strings. That means every note that happens on this string, this is the same note 2 octaves higher. Well, we know that we got an open E string, right? I also have the 12th fret. So right up here, there's the minor pentatonic scale, box 1 in the key of E. Notice that I'm not using my pinky. I could, I could finger this exactly the same way, but the frets are so close together up here that, it's actually a little bit more useful to use what I like to call violin fingering, where your knuckles are at an angle to the fretboard. Instead of being parallel to the fretboard, they're like that, so that you can do this sort of well, angled fingering. So here's the same exact lick in the 12th position. I could also, of course, if I wanted to, I could do it way down in the open position as well. And then here's my box 1 in the open, in the 1st position. See, if you imagine that this right here is where my 1st finger would go, it'd be exactly the same form, but I don't need this finger because it's an open string. So, my apologies there to Jimi Hendrix and AC/DC. Now, one more little thing here. What if I wanted to play in the key of B? All right. Once again, if you get your neck diagram, you can find the key, the note B on one of either the 1st or the 6th string. But if this is A right here, A sharp or B flat would be right here, and there's B. So here we go. And I'm in the key of B. So yeah, you can do all the same licks right there. Okay, so like I said, if you look down in the description area of the video, you will see the link to the page that you can print out that has the tablature for these licks, and there'll be more to come.